He had a chance to talk to a couple of Montreal Canadiens prospects about a week ago. A couple of weeks before that, he had a chance to talk to a couple more. The big question now is, where are they with their development? And are we going to see them wearing a Montreal Canadiens uniform down the line? We'll talk about this, and he'll give us his evaluation on how some players performed or didn't perform at the World Juniors as well, with former Montreal Canadiens scout Graham McCagg of recruits.ca. We do it on the Sick Podcast. I'm Marinaro.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast with Tony Marinaro. The sickest Montreal Canadiens podcast.
And now a 24th Stanley Cup banner will hang from the rafters of the famous Forum in Montreal. The Canadiens win the Stanley Cup.
Sports entertainment like no other. Brought to you by 8.6 Beer, intense by nature, and Lacage. If the last time you went to Lacage was when the Habs won the Cup, it's time you went back to Lacage. The menu will surprise you.
Marinaro, the Sick Podcast, brought to you by 8.6 Beer, intense by nature, the beer for those who follow their instinct and live their passions in order to make their mark, and brought to you by Lacage. If the last time you went to Lacage was when the Habs won the Cup back in 1993, well, it's time you go back to Lacage. The menu will definitely surprise you. I am a regular there, by the way. Love that place. Don't know if I love another place more than I love Lacage. That's a true story. Joining me right now is a gentleman that I had a chance to meet for the very first time, actually, at Lacage at the Bell Center. I remember it well. It was Thursday, July 7th. It was the 2022 NHL Amateur Draft. And Grant McCagg joined me there for a pint. Actually, he was having a pint, and I was having a sangria that night. What's going on?
Hey, good to see you, Tony.
How are you? Nice to see you too. And I know you had a chance to talk with some Montreal Canadiens prospects. You had a chance to talk to two of them earlier in the week. You had a chance to talk to a couple of them a couple of weeks ago. So you're getting a pretty good idea of where they are, how they feel, where they stand, where they're going to play next, where they are in their development. So talk to us. You had a chance to catch up with the guy Mark Bergevin calls a Greek god, Jaden Strubel.
Yeah. I was talking to him a couple days ago, and he's they already started training there, the group at Northeastern. I tweeted something there today. It struck me that, like, they're starting cap next week, and he's going in as a senior, and he'll still be 20 years of age, which kind of blows me away. I don't know about you, Tony, when you were 20, but I certainly wasn't going into my senior year in university at that point. That's for sure. It's pretty impressive.
Yeah, no, when I was 20, I think I was in year 3 of college. And I remember calling one of my teachers and asking him if he can help me out on the exam. And I ended up bringing him a bottle of wine. But anyway, that's a long story. We're not going to go there. Okay, so even though we just did. All right, okay. Jaden Strubel, of course, plays for the same team that Jordan Harris used to play for. They played together. Harris is either going to be with the Montreal Canadiens or the Laval Rocket, and Jaden Strubel is going to be still, like you said, a Northeastern for one more year. Where is a guy like Strubel in terms of his development, in your opinion, compared to a guy like Harris?
Well, he started college so early, so, you got to keep in mind that he's going to be graduating at 21 and a half, Harris a little older when he graduated. I think, he missed a lot of time with injuries his first 3 years. So I think he's probably a half year at least. He's going to be a half year behind Harris in terms of development. But certainly from a physical, specimen point of view, he's not that far away from being ready physically at the NHL level. But I think he's going to need lots of, a full year or two at AHL where he gets in 60, 80 pro games per year. And just, to get up to where the decision making with the puck, where, you move it quickly enough and all that, where I think he'll probably need a little more semi-pro seasoning before he's ready to make the jump like Jordan could be, out of training camp.
This guy's a handful. I remember seeing some video footage at one point. I mean, there were a couple of scraps that broke out. I mean, he grabbed two people at the same time, one with his left hand, one with his right hand, and just grabbed them. And he was like just manhandling both of them. I mean, the last time I think I saw someone do that was Craig Ludwig back in the mid 80s, was a pretty strong man as well. I think there was a fight that broke out in Philly or something, and he had two guys at the same time. Talking about a very, very strong man here. My question to you is, and there's always still a place in the game for a player who's that big and that strong. How are the other elements of his game in terms of moving his feet and moving the puck?
Yeah, he's a powerful skater. Like, he's just a natural athlete all around, and has a very hard shot. Moves the puck well. Just I think needs time. Needs to get a lot of hockey, and hopefully he stays healthy. He was telling me that like he suffered from groins. Both of his groins were an issue for a couple of years there. He heard it in Habs development camp, actually, the first one that he attended. And he's been getting a lot of dry needling in the groins, he was telling me.
Is that right, eh?
Yeah, and 5 sessions this summer alone. He thinks that he probably didn't even have to do that this year, that it feels so good, but he's not taking any chances. He doesn't want any recurring injury, so he's been getting dry needling, and they do, like, Northeastern's a great program. They do hip measurements and stuff, and apparently they can tell by measuring the hips how well his groins are doing, and apparently the measurements are all good. So
that's having boys who play soccer, one of which has suffered with groin injuries in the past. It's a tough injury to heal for the most part. It takes time. You don't want to pull it, overdo it, because if you do, you can tear it, and then you have to have surgery. So what you want to do, you want to give it time to heal. But what becomes very important if you do suffer from groin injuries is stretching. You need to do a lot of it before activity. So anyway, I'm not a specialist when it comes to this kind of stuff, but I'm repeating to you what I've been told by physiotherapists, in the past.
And the funny thing is, you were talking about him grappling with two players like that. Yeah, you just know that, like, he's going to love the pro game. I know they don't fight in college, but I just, from any time I've talked to him, he's not going to have any issue dropping the gloves if it comes to it at the pro level. And when I asked him about which guys, he liked, that impressed him at camp, he, right away brought up Arbor, Jack-Eye, and said, I love him because he's a fighter, and I like that, and this, and like, every impression that in the article that comes out, people will get that's going to come out hopefully sometime this weekend. People are going to, get the full impression that he has no issues with dropping the gloves, I don't think, when he turns pro.
And that article is on, of course, on recruits.ca, and you can subscribe for a very, very minimal fee and become a subscriber. Grant, what's the edition going for in terms of the subscription?
It's less than $2 a month for a Habs, for full Habs coverage for the year. So we keep the price very reasonable for everyone.
Wow, hard to beat that value. A Marinaro, shop all your sports licensed lifestyle apparel, including hoodies, caps, t-shirts of your favorite teams from all major leagues, as well as our sick merchandise. Take a look at this one. Bleu, blanc, rouge. Sportbuffshop.com. Use code SICK10 for 10% off on all of their items. Okay, yes or no, will we see Jaden Strubel in a Montreal Canadiens uniform down the line? If so, when?
Well, asking him about whether he's going to sign with the Canadiens or not it was sort of interesting, his answers. Like, you'd almost but you're completely reading between the lines, so it's hard to say, but you do wonder whether he's maybe a little concerned that just where's there going to be a spot for him on the left side, like there's such depth there with young left defensemen, and I don't know. He's not graduating he's not going to graduate at the end of the year. He's going to have to keep taken some courses, so that wasn't fully the reason. You just wonder if maybe, I feel less optimistic about him signing than I did with Harris.
Wow.
But
okay.
If he does, and I certainly, told him that it would be a good idea if he did.
Yeah.
Hopefully that Hughes connection helps.
Yeah,
That,
of course. And there was the Hughes connection with Jordan Harris as well, which in the end really
that's right.
helped.
That's right. And he's been working all summer. Nicholas has been going down, the new skills coach, down to Boston every week, and he's been working with him. And every prospect that I've talked to has been impressed with Nicholas. I think he was a great hire and well overdue, I think, and that might help him as well. Certainly, it's the same as Jordan. They don't want to talk about going into the year. They want to focus on the year, and they don't want to talk about whether they're going to sign or not. But I'm less optimistic, but I still think he will.
Mind-boggling. They didn't have a skills coach prior to Nicholas. Really, I mean, they bring them in every now and then, but they never had anyone really who was, part of the organization. Hey, I want to give a shout out to a great service, and it's in terms of VPN. Grab your exclusive NordVPN deal by going to the website that you see, which is nordvpn.com/sickpod, to get a huge discount off your NordVPN plan for 4 months for free. It's completely risk-free with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. And if you don't know what this is, of course, when you're traveling, sometimes you're not going to be able to watch certain content if you're going to be in another country, and where you're going to be watching it from basically has your home address. But what you can do is you can get another VPN to actually show that you are in that particular country, or even showing that you're in another country when you're in your own country. Anyway, it's pretty cool because you get to watch whatever you want to watch, really. And I've used it in the past, and I got to tell you, it's pretty exceptional. So once again, get a huge discount and off your NordVPN plan, plus 4 months for free. So plus 4 months for free, as well as the discount. That's pretty cool. All right. Blake Gandhi, you had a chance to talk to him. A less familiar name for many. Why don't you give his background?
Yeah, Biondi, he was a 4th round pick, so he's not going to be in the spotlight like a first rounder or first overall like Slafkovsky. But he his first year as a freshman, he probably averaged about 6 minutes a game. He had a little wake up call there, as far as he thought he had showed up at camp in the right kind of shape, but he was a little top heavy. I think he had trained too much on building up the upper body when he should have been concentrating a little more on his skating and his speed.
I have that problem, by the way. Top heavy and actually mid heavy too. Top and mid.
Yeah, well, you met me, Tony. I'm not a slender guy either, but yeah. But I mean, it was a learning lesson, and also a freshman on what was a national champion, so ice time was going to be tough for a freshman anyways. But he got the memo in the off season last year and showed up, and his skating was noticeably improved from day one. Like I watched probably 75% of his games, and he was you could just tell that he had a lot better stamina, speed, edges, and the kid's a natural goal scorer. He's 6'1", probably 200, 197 to 202. He's a very strong kid too, but has just a great shot. And he scored 17 goals, which was top 25 in the NCAA last year. Led Minnesota Duluth in goals, and he only had 3 power play goals, so he was actually top 15 in even strength goals in the nation as a sophomore. So that, I think it's only going to keep improving. And the way he spoke there, he's really got things figured out nutrition wise, what he has to do, sleep well, eat well, train well. he's looking forward to a really big season, and he thinks that, just like Jaden in Northeastern, they both think they have a shot at national championship. So it'll be exciting to watch both of them.
That's pretty cool. I want to talk to you about the World Juniors because we didn't have a chance to talk about it yet. But, we saw Canada over Finland in the final. We all saw the way it ended with a goal in overtime by Kent Johnson, which was pretty cool. And Mason McTavish stopping the puck on the line probably a minute before. And it was amazing. But I have to tell you, I want to talk about one player in particular because he was drafted 17th overall in the 2022 draft. And it was around Christmas time that I too picked up the phone and I called a couple of scouts and I said, hey, Shane Wright is good as advertised. We talked about him. And then I said, who are some of the guys I should watch out for? And a couple of scouts told me, Kimmel, back at Christmas time, they told me that. And then I don't know what happened between Christmas and the draft, but Joachim Kimmel fell to 17th overall when the Predators were able to grab him. I really liked him at the World Juniors, Grant.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that because the first guy that I ranked ahead of Wright in the rankings this year was Kimmel, and that was just before Christmas time. Where he actually it would have been October, November. He started off the year like he was leading the Finnish Elite League in goal scoring as a 17-year-old rookie. And not a very big kid either. That had never been done by a draft eligible player ever. Even Barkov, as good as season as he had and the best ever by a draft eligible, he wasn't leading the league in scoring. He was incredible. And then he suffered a shoulder injury and didn't look great at the World Juniors, was tentative a bit. I don't think he was ever got fully healthy. I think he came back too soon. And we didn't really get to see what we saw early in the year. So, I mean, I dropped him to 6th for my list. So I was still, I found myself dropping him and he was down into the teens almost, like 11, 12. And then I got thinking, Pettersson, I dropped him in his draft year because he waned in the second half and I shouldn't have. And I thought, got to be a little careful. You tend to remember what you saw last, your memory's short.
Of course.
And
but Grant, without being a scout, if I can, I'll tell you one of the things I use, right? For what it's worth here, okay? I'm not a pro scout, okay? I took a couple of certificate courses and this and that and watched a couple of games in the press box with some scouts. But one of the things I do is I base my judgment on a player's good games.
Exactly.
And I wipe out the bad games because bad games, everyone has them. But if a player does exceptional things that I think other players probably would have a hard time doing, then that tells me that, that could be a very special player. And the last time I talked to a scout about Kimmel, he told me, Tony, he has some David Pasternak in him. Oh, that's a pretty good player.
Yeah, no, you're 100%, Tony. I said, and I said the exact same thing about him to a couple of NHL scouting buddies that, I saw it, if you see it, then he has it. And not everyone has it. And you don't forget, you should not, even if it was before Christmas or whatever, but then also at the under 18s, he did have a hat trick game where we saw it again,
Yes.
You saw more than just a flash in that game. He had a hat trick. He was great. So for me, that was a big reason why I said, I saw it with this guy and I realized he didn't have a great second half. He's not that big. He's under 5'10" or whatever, but, or at least that's what we thought. And then I found out later on that he was actually 5'11", but I had to put him back up into the top 6. I had seen it and I agree 100%. He has the potential to be one of the top 5 players in this draft class. No question.
All right. Okay. What's besides the Kirby Doc contract? What's the big Habs story that you're paying attention to right now?
Well, rookie camp's coming up, and I think you asked me the same thing last time, and it's
going to be in Buffalo, right?
It's got to be Slafkovsky again.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to seeing him. He hasn't played against 18-year-old, 18, 19-year-olds for a while, and I think he's going to wow a few people there.
Are you going to get out to Buffalo to watch the rookie camp?
No, I'm not, but I do have Dave Auger is going to show up there. He lives in Albany, and he works with me at recruits, and he's going to go to the camp. So we're going to have coverage from Dave.
All right, pretty awesome. All right, so if you're watching on YouTube or Facebook, comment sick. If you're listening on audio, please leave a 5-star review and write sick if you love the podcast. Grant, thanks so much for doing this, man. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Tony.
Grant McCagg of recruits.ca. The guy works pretty hard, and you can get a subscription for under $2 a month or about $2 a month. Check it out, recruits.ca. Check out the Sick Podcast on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and all that great stuff. Ciao for now.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast with Tony Marinaro on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts. The Sick Podcast is brought to you by 8.6, Intense by Nature, and Lacage. If the last time you went to Lacage was when the Habs won the Cup, it's time you went back to Lacage. The menu will surprise you.